Hello everybody, welcome back. So this is gonna be possibly a 4 or 5 part series where we're making a stained glass 3D project that's gonna be round. Right now we're not obviously starting from the beginning because the beginning is gonna be where you have to pick something that's round to hold your glasses together. And then the part of that video is going to be where you want to square away your glass pieces. Square meaning your top and the bottom, left to right, is going to be evenly sized. Length and height is going to be equal. So at least this way you have a good starting base when you're working on something like this. It's honestly a lot easier than working on something that's going to be a box. Oh shoot. I'm not really ready to do all this yet, but we're just basically winging it. So video 1 would be where you have a jar or something that's round that can hold your pieces together. We're going to square the glass from top to bottom to side so that way it's evenly length. And if the top and the bottom isn't even in length, meaning that your pieces aren't lining up at the very top of this, there's a trick that we can do so that the project itself is going to be nice and round at the top and evenly spaced out. I'll show you that trick down the line. So we've already picked out the jig or a jar that's going to work for your piece of glass. We've already squared the pieces. We've cut the pieces. So that's going to be another part series video. So now we're at the stage that we've already folded everything and we're ready to tack the pieces together. Excuse me. I'm not sick, it's just the cough is still getting to me for some odd reason. The older you get, it takes a little longer. So you've already seen me put some flux on top of the pieces. You don't have to flux the whole entire thing on the top, just enough so that it covers, or you can tack the end pieces together, like so. This is much easier than doing a 3D box. Unless you have a box that you know is going to be square and you can put your glasses on it and I'll hold the pieces together for you. So that's another option when you're doing 3D boxes. If not, the challenge is getting something that's square. Because with square boxes, if it's not good in length and height equally, you do notice it, sadly. With these 3D round projects, it's actually pretty forgiving. I'm sure I flux that, but I find this being a lot more forgiving. The difficult part is when we get to that video is going to be when we're talking about how to cut the pieces so that it all lines up together from beginning to the end. That's the most important part. Your first attempt is going to be obviously figuring out how wide you need to make the glass pieces per side. Unfortunately, some of it's going to be a little wider and some of it's going to be a little thinner, but again, your first few pieces is going to be your learning your stepping stone, where you learn what to do and what not to do. But that's okay, right? Because once you figured it out, it just gets easier. Alright, we're almost at the end. Now the reason why you don't need to, flux the entire piece of foil that's on top, you'd be amazed how much just tacking the end pieces holds the glass together. So the entire top portion is fluxed and tacked together. Now we're going to do the reverse side. And the reverse side, there's not much gap, which is a good thing. Even a little gap, you can't really notice it once you're done. The annoying portion might be where some of the solder is going to fall through to the other side. But that happens whether it's 3D or if it's a flat project. You're dealing with solder that becomes liquid, and anything that's liquid will look for anything with the least resistance, and the path that has the least resistance is where the solder will flow. That's solder for you, right? So I'm hoping I'm capturing this correctly, but as you can see, this portion is very flat. So if you did have some odd pieces, maybe on this side where they were 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters maybe off. 2 millimeters is a little bit much, but basically it's not even on this portion. You can make this portion the bottom side of the 3D project, and this portion being your top side of the project. So there's a few tricks. Just because your measurement might be off a little bit, it's not the end of the world. So what I'm doing right now is making sure that the two end pieces are butted up together before I tack it. I oddly go counterclockwise. So now this is a 32-ounce jar from Raos, or I guess some people enunciate it as Rouse, but it's spelled as R-A-O-S. I don't know how you're gonna enunciate it, but Raos, Rouse, I don't know. English is very tricky. So I think this video is going to be the most important portion out of all of them that I'm going to be doing. Get to see how everything plays together. Now, I did not wax where the glass meets the stained glass. There are instances where you want to do that. The only reason why you would do that is because you want the glass to slide down or slide up as easily as possible. If these were multiple pieces like my other videos, where each individual might have like 6 or 5 pieces, I would definitely wax the glass portion of it where the blue tape meets. So this way I can slide up and down the glass easily. Because I would plan to tack all sides of the front. Alright, so now everything is tacked. This is where the magic happens. We're not going to show you where we're making the bottom piece just yet, but this is basically it. why it's so easy to make a 3D round project versus a square project. With this, I can move the project down where I want the top to be very flat, or if this portion is already very flat, then I don't really need to worry about it, right? But as you can see, it moves up and down, and it doesn't require you to tack the entire front portion of it. Again, there are times where you do want to do that when you have multiple pieces on one side, but on this particular case, you don't really need to do that. And you can see how easy it is for me to move the project up and down. Well, now I'm getting some resistance here, but we'll cover the jar issue on another video. So this is pretty much it. Now you do want to be careful as far as for when you're moving up and down, because your inner portions of the foil could catch on to the tape and lift a little bit. That's actually a bit annoying. So that's happened to me before, and that's probably going to happen to me now. But it's not the end of the world. It's basically the inside. Now I am using 7/32 foil. 3/16 foil, as you can tell, would be a little too thin. So you have the possibility of the foil coming loose over time. 7/32, your coverage of the glass is a little more, so you have less chances of that happening. You can use wider foil, but you're going to be using a ton of solder. That's the only bad thing I don't like about 3D projects, is you do tend to use a lot more solder than you do on flat projects. With flat projects, I mean, to be honest, I'm not using much solder at all compared to when I'm working on something that's a 3D project. So that's pretty much it. You tape. We'll cover that on the other videos, but on this one, just in case you've gotten this far, a bonus, thank you. You just flip the blue tape around where the adhesive side meets the glass. And if I did pull this portion out, you'll actually notice where the adhesive is still stuck to the glass, right? I'll just do it just for purposes, for the video purpose only. So you can see the blue tape is still stuck on the other side. Not a big deal at all. And so far this portion is fine, where the blue tape hasn't come off. Oh yeah, sorry. The foiling hasn't had any issues. On this portion I found 1, 2, 3, so 3 portions of where the foil got snagged on the blue tape. Again, that's fine because this is going to be the bottom. So I'm okay with that. Alright. So obviously I reversed what we did. So the next portion of the video is going to be where we're going to cut this portion off. This is going to be the base. I'm hoping it shows. Yeah, this is going to be the base where it's a mirror type glass. It's from GNA. GNA makes really nice glass. Sorry, I can't capture it on the video. So we're going to make the bottom base, and at that portion we're pretty much ready to solder the entire thing. So if you can't wait for the next video, basically you cut the round piece. I like to have it inserted inside so that way the bottom portion is flat. When it's flat, at least it's sitting nice and flat on the bottom. If you do have it a little bit elevated, you'll notice it at the end. I'm trying to avoid that nowadays just because aesthetically it looks better when it's flat. But I don't flush it in flat, so that way I have a little bit of gap in here where the solder shows a little bit on the other inside, but not as much. That's one thing to consider. And then basically we're going to be soldering the outside portion first. Once this cools off on the outside, then we'll tackle the inside. Once you do the inside, I do the bottom portion of the inside first, and then I'll do each glass line all the way to the